get down.
Alright, so here we are, done week 4, 12 weeks out officially, just under that now because I lift on Thursday at Worlds. This week was a bit of a deload week. last Sunday, I guess it was, yeah, Sunday, I did some triples in full gear. I had 2 triples in full gear, worked up to 222.5 for those, and that was the only sort of exciting training day being in any gear. Earlier this week, I was complaining to Blaine that he didn't give me any equipment this week, or other than the squat suit, to which he quickly reminded me that 3 weeks ago I was complaining about being back in gear. So it's funny how things quickly change, and I know that I'm going to be in gear a lot in the coming weeks, so I should just enjoy these weeks of a little bit shorter workouts, a little bit lighter movements, and see how things go. So yeah, nothing really exciting. Full gear squats on Sunday, and then just sort of the basics. Some raw bench on Monday. Tuesday I had off. Wednesday I had some raw sumo deadlifts, which I was actually pretty happy with how they felt. Raw sumo sometimes causes me pain in my hips. Equip takes that away, but this week there was no pain raw, so I figure that's a pretty good sign. Yesterday, Thursday, I had just some more bench, some football bench, so flat back, close grip, and then some raw bench, and then some close grip bench. My triceps were pretty fried at the end of that workout, but in a good way. This morning I trained my last day of the week, which was some pause squats and some iso deads and some split squats, and then just a little bit of accessory. So all in all, body's feeling really good. Not feeling beat up at all, which I shouldn't be at the end of a deload week. As far as my body weight goes, it continues to drop. This week, Kristen gave me an extra sort of high day. So I got 100 extra grams of carbs one day this week. My check-in day with her is on Tuesdays. So I checked in with her on Tuesdays and she told me that she wanted to do this. So I sort of weaseled my way into getting 3 high days in the next 2 weeks. The reason was she wanted me to have it on what would be my heaviest day, which I would say is my squat day, which is typically on Sundays. However, this coming week it's going to be pushed to Monday because I'm away at a course for massage this weekend. So I didn't really want to wait till Monday to have it, because then this week we're not going to have any baseline. So Wednesday I had a high carb day where I had 100 grams of extra carbs, and then this following Monday I'll have another high carb day, and then the following Sunday I'll have another one, and we'll go from there. Today I was 75.8, so it's my first day in the 75s, which is pretty good. I was looking back at where I was at before Classic Worlds, and about a month out from Classic Worlds, I was about this body weight, so I know I'm sitting in a pretty good spot, and probably another month or 6-8 weeks, and I'll be walking around at 72, which is where I want to be. That way we can tighten up my gear, so it fits perfectly at Worlds. So we got a lot of questions last week through our Instagram with some topics about what you guys would like us to talk about. A lot of it was to do with raw versus equipped, which we touched on some last week, but if there's more specifics you'd like to know, let us know. You can drop your questions in the comments below here on YouTube. One of the questions that we got was, how would you incorporate some heavy equipped training for fun while focusing on raw? I would answer this by saying, if your focus is on raw should definitely be your focus. All of your accessory movements should be tailored to improving your raw lifts. That said, this year before Classic Worlds, I would say I did incorporate some equipped stuff for fun into my training, and just to try and get better in the gear. Biggest thing would be probably in that 4 to 6 week window before your raw meet. Don't be trying to play with any gear at that point. You need to be focusing on your priorities for your raw meet versus dabbling in equipped. But further out from a meet than that, definitely doing some knee wrap stuff just to get that overload wouldn't be a bad idea. If you have a looser squat suit or looser gear in general, that can definitely be used at that point in time. For me, between nationals, which were in February, and Classic Worlds in June, I had my bench shirt on a handful of times, as well as my deadlift suit on. I didn't have my squat suit on at all, just because I'm pretty proficient in it. But my deadlift suit and my bench shirt, there's still lots of room for improvement there. So I had those on a handful of times, and I had knee wraps on a couple of times as well. But then again, like once it got to that sort of, I think it was 6 weeks out, it was gone, it was put away, and the focus was on raw until July after the competition. Another question we got this week was, how often do I train equipped? Right now, leading into Open Worlds, I only get my programming in 4-week blocks, so I only have the next 3 weeks. But every week in the next 3 weeks, I am in my squat suit, my bench shirt, and my deadlift suit every week. I wasn't in it this week, like I said. Being a deload week, I was just in my squat suit. But the next 3 weeks, I am fairly certain I'm in all 3 every week. Yeah. In the past, between Nationals in 2017 and World Games, I was in the shirt twice a week. I was getting pretty beat up by the end of that. It was a lot of time in the shirt, so then a lot of load. And I did a couple of twice a week between World Games and Open Worlds last year. So far this year, I haven't had twice a week in the shirt, but it wouldn't surprise me if it got added in as we get closer. But yeah, I'm in it pretty frequently, and I think part of that is you have to be in the gear to actually learn it. A lot of people, I think I touched on this last week, a lot of people think you can just throw the gear on and you'll get 100 kilos out of it. That's not how it works. You got to figure it out. You have to put the time into it and have patience with it to actually learn the gear and improve that way. Staying along the same equipped thread, do you change your recovery strategy for equipped lifting versus classic? That question to me is very dependent. I would say yes and no. I would say yes, I do end up changing it because equip beats me up a lot more, so I end up being more aware of my recovery. I make sure that my sleep is perfect. I do more baths, more recovery in that method. I make sure I'm getting my treatments in that I need. But if raw is beating me up, I'll do the same thing for raw. So I think it's all about listening to your body. I don't necessarily add in anything different with equipped lifting. The only thing that maybe would change would be just sort of skin maintenance, trying to moisturize the scabs that equipped lifting leaves so that they don't start being really gross and splitting open, because it's no fun to put gear on an open wound. Another question was, can she cover how she deals with knee joint issues like tendonitis, bursitis, or pain? Honestly, my knees very, very rarely hurt. I'll knock on wood while I say that. The odd time that they do hurt, I find that like rolling out my quads or getting treatment on my quads will do the trick. Joints that are more likely to bug me are my elbows, my shoulders, and my wrists, and basically just managing those as necessary. I only squat with elbow sleeves on. I don't do any straight bar squats without elbow sleeves at this point. I find that the little bit of warmth and compression that elbow sleeves gives is enough to sort of keep that elbow pain at bay. Wrists more or less only bug me when I'm lifting. They rarely bug me outside of lifting, so I don't really have to manage it that way. Lately I've been really fortunate and I haven't had any major injuries that I haven't been able to deal with just self-treatment and the therapist that I see on a fairly regular basis. So the last question we're going to cover this week is, can you talk about mental training / prep for a meet? This is sort of ongoing for me. I do it for training as well as for a meet. Pretty frequently, one of the books that I'm reading, I usually have a couple of books on the go, but one of the books that I'm reading will be like an athlete mental prep sort of book along those lines. Just always keep me in that mindset. I also try and stay pretty focused in my training. This is one thing that I learned, or I sort of stole from Blaine when we went down to train with him in the spring, was to put your phone away. It should only be used for videos. You shouldn't be scrolling Instagram and Facebook during training. So the only thing that I'm trying to think about during training is what I'm trying to accomplish that day. And then as we get closer to a meet, thinking like an opener. So, okay, what cues am I gonna give myself while Ryan's wrapping my knees, or while I'm pulling my bench shirt down, or getting the straps up for deadlift, like thinking like a meet, so that I'm doing the same things day in and day out. So when it comes to a meet, it's not this new experience of, shoot, I haven't been thinking about this or haven't been practicing with commands. I'll also do lots of visualization, just positive imagery, taking yourself through the meet day situation, especially as we get closer. That'll become more of a part of my sort of daily routine as well. So another week come and gone. Now we're 12 weeks out from Open Worlds. As always, be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, like this video, and we'll see you next week.